Today we're going to be talking about mounts, and specifically we're going to be talking about the best mounts to use in the Black Zone here in Albion Online. Black Zone meaning Mists, we have the Roads of Avalon, and the actual Outlands. You can even use these in the Red Zone as well. I would also use these in any type of full loot PvP zones. There's some mounts that we're not going to be talking about and some that can work, but the ones I'm going to be talking about are the most optimal and the most seen mounts used, and I'll show you the reasons why they're used. You're not going to see Ox in this video because Oxen is not something you want to be roaming open world with, just because that is more of a transport mount or a heavy gathering mount in safer zones. So I'm going to be showing you all of the different hybrid mounts, ones for gathering as well as the ones that are more for if you like to chase and PvP and do more stuff along those lines. Now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to teach you guys the basics of mounts. So we have a tier 3 horse here. I'm just going to open this up. This mount for the riding horse, some mounts have what's called a courier, is a passive ability that is tied to you once you have the mount equipped. We don't have to have the mount out to have this extra carry weight. I currently have 63 extra carry weight due to this passive, whether the mount is out or not. And that is the difference between Oxen and the mounts that have the courier buff. With Ox, the carry weight will be shown down here, which means it's tied to the mount, so it only works when the mount is out. We have movement speed bonus, which is 65%, and we have gallop move speed bonus. Now the time to get to the gallop move speed bonus is going to be 3 seconds for this mount, and this can vary depending on the different mounts that you are using. Your mount health just relates to if someone has to hit you and try to get you off your mount and get it to disappear, this is the type of damage that they would have to do relating to the mount health. Now if we put this mount on, every single mount now has a 3-second mount up time. This mount in particular has 3 seconds to gallop, so we have our 65% movement speed, and then once we get up to speed, we are rocking a nice 100% movement speed bonus. We stop for a bit, and once the lines go away, we're back to 65%, we run for 3 seconds, and now we're going to be back up to speed at 100%. So these are all the different things that you need to keep in mind while using these mounts. And a lot of these are craftable and you can buy at the market, but we're just going to go down the list and I'm going to show you guys the best mounts. So the first mounts we're going to be talking about is going to be mounts that have carry weight. Now these are going to be your hybrid gathering open world mounts, and a lot of them are strong for, can be used in PvP scenarios, and some are just stronger for gathering in general to have more carry weight and a little bit more safety from like armor and different things that can help you get out of situations. So I'm going to put this horse back to where it belongs, down here with the other horses, and I do have some system mounts in here. Some other system mounts I did leave out, like the Divine Owl or the Morgana Raven. A lot of those are just, you usually see those in like small scale or like bomb squads or different, like the tank will be riding a Morgana Raven because they want to get dismounted easily, or a Spectral Bat. A lot of those mounts have very low health and they're very easy to dismount. I don't recommend taking them open world because as soon as you run into any gankers and they get any type of hit or catch on you, you're going to get dismounted very easily. Now when it comes to carry weight mounts, we have the Stag. And what's nice about these three right here, the Moose, the Frost Ram, and the Stag, is they have a 2 second to gallop. So as soon as if you get hit or if you take any type of damage, you go back down to movement speed. In 2 seconds, you get your movement speed bonus sent back up to the max gallop speed. So this one's 120%, and the Frost Ram is 120% as well. Also, the health is pretty decent on these. These have 900, and the Moose and the Frost Ram have 1,000 plus, just a little bit over 1,000. And they all have the Courier passive, and they can carry a little bit more than the horse, and well, a little bit more. They carry a lot more than the horse. And this is an excellent Moose, which has a 430 kilogram carry weight for the Courier. And then we have the Frost Ram, who has the increase your max load by 374. This is less than the Moose, but this Frost Ram has an ability that I will show you guys. And the Frost Ram right now is a little bit more pricey. It's like upwards of 700k. But for this January Frost event that's going on, a bunch of Frost Rams are about to be released into the system. Every single time people get it unlocked, they're going to list it on the market, and the price is going to be going down on them. So it'd be a good time to pick up some Frost Rams. And the thing with the Frost Ram is it has a 2 seconds to gallop, so we can run, and then in 2 seconds we're already up to speed. And then it has a jump that you can use that leaps toward the targeted position, becoming immune to all crowd control effects, debuffs, and damage until impact. Now this one has a 15-second cooldown, and it is absolutely amazing when using it in open world. It is a little bit more pricey, but it saved me multiple times if you can use the jump correctly. You do need to keep in mind though that anytime a mount has an ability, that this is going to be tied to your boots. Now I don't have any boots on at the moment, but if I use this leap, and then I get off my mount, my boots are going to have a 15-second cooldown because it's relating to this cooldown that's happening from the ability used on the mount. So you need to be very careful if you're using the Spectral Dire Boar, the Gallant Horse, any mounts that have that F slot ability, because as soon as you use it and it has like a minute cooldown, if you get dismounted or get off your mount, you're going to have cooldown on your boots of the same cooldown that that ability had. That's very detrimental. That's something you need to keep in mind, because if you do anything that has a minute cooldown and you end up getting dismounted because you use the mount's ability and you still get caught, you are again a sitting duck. You have no mobility from your boots anymore, and you're going to have to rely only on either to fight your way out or to use any of the abilities that your weapon has to somehow get some type of mobility, but that's at the end of the day, that's all you're going to have. So these are the 2 seconds to gallop. We have the 2 boars, which have a 4 seconds to gallop, and they also have armor, magic resistance, and CC resistance. So they both have, this one has 1164 health, and this one has 1000, almost has 1100 health. So these ones have courier as well, and they carry a lot more than these mounts up here, but they are slower. So this is going to be 110% speed. This one's 115%. So the Moose and the Frost Ram are already faster than these. But if you are going to be collecting a lot, let's say if you go to the Mists and you're going to be hanging out in there a long time, or you're doing a lot of open world gathering, you can use these, and they do bring some degree of safety with the armor and magic resistance. But again, you can't rely on the armor and magic resistance a ton, because if you do run into gankers open world and there are multiple of them with lockdown, they're going to be able to dismount you easily anyways. So I wouldn't rely a lot on knowing that these have armor. It's just what's really strong about these is the carry weight that they have. So you can carry a ton while using these. You can also do types of hybrid transports. If you aren't transporting a lot, like a lot of resources and whatnot, you could use these. But when it comes to transporting in any kind of danger zones, I always would recommend using a grizzly bear. But a grizzly bear costs 1,000,000 silver. So if you're not willing to put aside some of that for your transports, you can use these. But these are essentially a more high tier gathering mount that I would use in the Black Zone. And then when it comes to your cheaper options, we're going to put the Gallant Horse over there because that's not a cheaper option. We have the tier 3 and the tier 4 horse. So anything above that, I wouldn't really recommend using. You could use a tier 5 horse, but anything above that, you're just paying extra for. You should probably just use one of these instead at that point if you're going to be paying anything up above these horses. But tier 3 horses, tier 4 horses, this one is like 30k on the market right now. This one's 13k I paid for, and they have a courier tied to it. So they also have that passive carry weight. They also have a 3 second to gallop, so they're 1 second more than the Stag, the Moose, and the Frost Ram. So it is something to keep in mind as well. They do have a pretty up to speed gallop time. It's the same as the mount time, and they have a decent amount of health on all of them, and they don't have any armor or anything, but they're kind of just a cheaper alternative. If you are running cheaper sets and you want to thinking of a mount to use in the open world, you could just use these horses. And then we have the Gallant Horse. The Gallant Horse has a courier buff as well, and then it has Relentless Charge, which it becomes immune to all crowd control effects and damage, and increases your movement speed by 40% for 4 seconds. Now this is one of those ones that you need to be careful with because it has a 45-second cooldown, and because it has a 45-second cooldown, remember your boots are going to have a 45-second cooldown if you use this ability and get off the mount or get dismounted, so you need to be careful with that. But this is going to be all the carry weight mounts that I do recommend. Anything else like Salamanders, Swamp Dragon, any of the other mounts that do have some type of carry weight, I don't recommend taking them into open world if you want to be the most efficient with what you're doing. I know a lot of those can't be slowed down, but they don't have a lot of movement speed, so there are a lot of essentially scout mounts that can catch up to it, like the wolves and whatnot, and they can get in front of you very easily. And if there is a lot of them and a lot of gankers out there, they can catch you very easily just because you don't have a lot of speed to get away from them. All right, these are going to be the scout kind of fight mounts. These are the ones that have more speed on them but don't have carry weight, and I do have the armored horse in here as well. This is a nice little starter mount if you do want a lot more protection in open world while running around. It has almost 1300 health. It has a decent movement speed and 3 seconds to gallop. This one is a little bit, at times it can be harder to dismount. It gets kind of annoying sometimes when people are using an armored horse, but again, if it is a huge gank group, that's something you always have to worry about. I kind of just wanted to throw that in here. As for speed mounts, all of these mounts, these ones on the top, are going to have a 5 seconds to gallop. So when it comes to like gathering and whatnot, these aren't going to be very good at all because they don't have any type of carry on them. They don't have a courier buff. They don't have anything tied to the mount. They can't carry anything at all, so they're not going to help you. You're only going to be at the mercy of your bag and the boots buff if you switch your boots to courier. But in this order, we have the Swift Claw, which has 120% max speed. We have 130% on the Saddle Grey Wolf, which again has now become cheaper because since they recently updated, it used to have a 2-second mount up time. Now it has a 3-second mount up time, and the mount up time is not shown in here. That's just something that was just known by you know, just counting this bar filling up when you're going to get on the mount. So this is the Saddle Grey Wolf. It takes 5 seconds to get up to speed, but once it is up to speed, it is fast. It's some of the faster mounts that you can use to get around, traverse the world. You can use it to chase, you can use it to get away easier. These mounts are really good for that. And then we have the Dire Wolf, which is a little bit more expensive than the Saddle Grey Wolf now, and it has 132% gallop move speed, but it has the same base movement speed. So you're just paying for that 2% more and a tiny bit more health. A lot of these mounts don't have a lot of health, so they can get dismounted very easily if you get caught. Now, these other two that I wanted to add are going to be the Saddled Moa Bird and the Saddled Terror Bird. The Saddled Terror Bird does have a flash ability, which you become immune to damage, increase your movement speed by 100% for 2 seconds. Same thing with the boots. It's going to take away your cooldown for boots, so you need to be careful with that. But these ones are special for a reason, and that is that they have 130% movement speed. So this one's 292k. Has 130% movement speed, just like the Saddled Grey Wolf, except it has 2.5 seconds time to gallop. So this mount can get up to speed very easily, almost in line with the Stag, Moose, and Frost Ram. This is a very underrated mount, as well as the Moa Bird has a 2.5 second time to gallop at 127%. Saddle Grey Wolf is going to have a hard time catching a Moa Bird because there is that 3% that makes it faster, but it's still very hard, and that's not enough wiggle room to catch up to a mount very easily. So this is something to keep in mind. Very underrated. You're going to start seeing more of these. I think that we're going to start seeing more of these in open world and different types of content. They do have lower health, just like these mounts do, but they are quick to get up to speed, and they're very good for chasing down opponents. I have 2 other mounts down here that are system mounts. We're going to have the Black Panther, which is around 500k. It has a movement speed of 127. Time to gallop 5, 1000 mount health, and then it has a movement speed ability for 6 seconds. It gives you 150% movement speed bonus, but you do have a minute cooldown. I have seen some people using this in open world, but every now and again you'll see one running around. And then Snow Huskies is going to be essentially a ganker's dream. A lot of the gankers or people that are trying to chase people down are using a Snow Husky. It has 132% movement speed, 5 seconds to gallop, and it has a Hunter Instinct, which increases your movement speed by 90% for 16 seconds. After the buff has ended, your movement speed will be decreased by 75% for 5 seconds. So they can use this to jump up and get ahead of opponents. And when they don't even really need their boots in the first place, they can get ahead of people very easily and then use their weapon abilities to catch whoever they're trying to gank. So you'll see a lot of the Snow Huskies that you'll see open world are usually gankers most of the time. Some people you'll see using these mounts just in groups and whatnot, just because they like using them. And you also see tons of other mounts in open world. But the point of this video was to give you kind of an overview of how the mounts work and kind of the best mounts to look at when you are thinking about what mounts to use in the open world. So I kind of put them in order, like Swiftclaw has 120%, then the Saddle Grey Wolf has 130, then 132. None of these have carry weight, and then again we have the carry weight mounts that we talked about. But again, I just wanted to give you guys a full overview of all of the different mounts and the best mounts that I think are good for Mists, Roads of Avalon, and open world in the Outlands. But that's going to be it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned some stuff about the mounts here in Albion Online. And then when you do get to the Red Zone, Black Zone content, I hope that you can choose the right mount that fits you for the activities that you want to do, and you can get out there and have a good time here in Albion Online. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see all of you in the next video, and I'll see all of you in Albion Online.